All right, let's talk about Larsen and Toubro because they just had a quarter that's, well, pretty pivotal. We're going to go beyond the big headlines and give you the kind of executive summary you'd want to see. We'll look at the numbers, sure, but more importantly, the strategy behind them and what it all signals for the future. So let's get right into it. So the first thing you just have to wrap your head around is the sheer scale here. I mean, L&T locked in their highest ever quarterly order inflow. That's a staggering 1.36 trillion rupees. And just to put that in perspective, that's a 17% jump from last year. You know, a number this big, it's not just a good quarter, it's a massive statement about the demand out there and L&T's ability to actually deliver. But here's the thing, and this is really the core idea of our briefing today. That record number, it's just the foundation. The real story, the one that every investor should be focusing on, is how L&T is using all this momentum to make a very aggressive, very strategic pivot into the industries that are going to define the future. To really get this, here's how we'll break it down. First, we'll dig into the foundation of this record quarter. Then, we'll look at the big economic trends in their main markets. After that, and this is the exciting part, we'll dive into their new growth engines. We'll also see how they're making the company itself more efficient. And finally, we'll take a clear-eyed look at the risks and what's coming down the road. Okay, so first up, let's just lay down the groundwork. We need to understand the strength of their current performance, because really, these are the results that are paying for everything else. Now, what's really telling on this slide is just how strong the performance is across the board. It's not just about that 17% jump in order inflows. Look at the recurring profit after tax. That's up a massive 31%. That tells you their core, repeatable business is getting a lot more profitable. And with group revenues up a solid 10%, you can see they're successfully turning that huge order book into actual cash. This is the picture of a company that is just firing on all cylinders. Of course, no company exists in a bubble, right? And L&T's amazing performance is getting a huge boost from some really powerful economic trends. Let's take a look at the two main regions that are just fueling their growth right now. So on one hand, you've got India, which is showing just incredible economic strength with a projected GDP growth of 7.3%. And what's driving that? A lot of it is government spending on infrastructure and defense, which is right in L&T's wheelhouse. Then you look at the Middle East, especially Saudi Arabia and the UAE. They're growing at a really healthy 4 to 4.5%, and it's because they are pouring capital into their own massive transformation plans. Put those two things together and you have this incredible pipeline of demand for L&T. And this slide right here, this is where things get really interesting. It shows a huge shift happening inside India for L&T. Now, of course, government projects are still their bread and butter. But look at this. The private sector's share of their domestic orders shot up from 21% to 36%, and that's in just 9 months. So what does that tell us? It means their client base is getting much wider. They're seeing strong new demand from places like real estate, data centers, and even thermal power. That kind of diversification, well, it makes their whole domestic operation a lot less risky. And that brings us to what is, for me, the most exciting part of this entire story. How L&T is moving, and moving aggressively into the industries that are going to absolutely define the next decade. So first on the list is Vyoma. This is L&T's brand new brand, and it's their big play into hyperscale data centers. You see, as India's digital economy just explodes, the hunger for high-performance computing and massive data storage is off the charts. Vyoma is L&T's direct answer to that, building out this absolutely critical digital backbone in the key hubs of Mumbai, Chennai, and Bangalore. This is them making a direct bet on India's digital future. Okay, next up, defense. L&T has just forged a major partnership with the U.S. company General Atomics, who are, a huge name in unmanned aerial systems. What are they doing? They're going to be manufacturing advanced drone systems right in India. And this move puts L&T in the driver's seat as the main bidder for a massive upcoming program from the Ministry of Defense. This isn't just about winning a contract. It's about making L&T a central player in India's entire defense modernization. And third, let's look at the energy sector, where L&T is thinking big. We're talking global and nuclear. They've signed an agreement with another U.S. company, Holtec International, to supply really critical, high-tech equipment for nuclear and thermal power plants all over the world. This just shows you their ambition. They want to be a key supplier in the global energy supply chain, especially as the world searches for stable, clean power. Landing huge projects is one thing, but institutional investors, they want to see a well-run, efficient company behind it all. And the good news is, L&T is delivering there too. Just look at this chart. That ratio of net working capital to revenue, it has plunged from 12.7% down to 8.2% in just 1 year. Now, that might sound like accounting jargon, but it's a huge deal. It's a crystal clear sign of excellent financial discipline. It means they're managing their cash way more effectively, getting paid faster, and just becoming a much leaner, more resilient business overall. Management is also making some really clever structural changes. For instance, they're taking their entire real estate business and putting it all under one single unified roof. This whole restructuring move is designed to give that division more scale, more focus, and the speed it needs to really take advantage of the boom in India's real estate market. It's all about building a leaner, meaner machine. And in today's world, governance and sustainability are a big deal. So it's pretty significant that L&T's MSCI ESG rating just got upgraded from BBB to A. For the big institutional investors, that's a huge stamp of approval. It confirms that the company has strong corporate governance and a real commitment to sustainability. It basically validates that this entire growth story is being built on a really solid, responsible foundation. All right, no investment case would be complete if we didn't take a good, hard look at the challenges. You have to address the potential concerns head on, so let's do that. Now, anyone looking closely at the numbers might have spotted that the reported profit after tax was actually down 4%. So what's going on? Well, this slide explains it perfectly. The company had to take a one-time hit of nearly 12 billion rupees to get in line with new labor laws. Yes, that stings the bottom line in the short term, but it's a necessary step that actually sets them up for better operational efficiency down the road. Another point of discussion has been some pressure on margins in their hydrocarbon business, and management has been very open about this. They've said it's because of cost issues on a couple of older projects that they won back when market conditions were tougher, but crucially, they've also given us a clear timeline for fixing it. The deputy MD, Subramanian Sarma, says he expects that business to be back at full strength in about 2 or 3 quarters, once those legacy projects are wrapped up. So, to quickly sum up the risks, you always have the standard market uncertainties, of course. The margin issue in hydrocarbons, that's a known quantity, and it's already been baked into the company's full-year guidance. And while the global economy might be a bit sluggish, the key markets for L&T, India and the GCC, are still looking incredibly strong. Which really brings us to the final and most important question. You have a company with a record-breaking order book that gives them visibility for years to come. At the exact same time, they are making a decisive turn towards the future. We're talking data centers, defense, new energy. All the evidence seems to suggest that they aren't just having a great quarter. They're strategically building an incredibly powerful and resilient foundation for their next decade of growth.